Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my podcast episode number 5. Now, I'm not going to be filming today's. Eventually, I will have like a little podcast set up an area, but I do not have that yet. So, just if you want to leave this video on like an open, or you're doing something else, or just like have your earphones in, that would be awesome because it means you can just listen to me and hang out and not have to worry about the fact that there is no video. Today, I want to talk about something that is such a touchy subject. So as I said, I don't want to offend anyone or anything, but I'm going to be talking about my journey with my diet and veganism and how I was a vegan, which now I can understand that wasn't actually veganism. It was more plant-based eating. So don't come for me because I understand that. But I'm going to talk about my journey with that and how I used to be a vegan and now I'm not, and kind of just a little bit about my journey with food and body image and how I've really arrived at this place now where I'm feeling so happy and confident with my diet and kind of who I am, and feeling like I can really sustain this for a super long time, which was something that I haven't felt in a really long time. So I'm really happy that I've gotten to the place that I have now, and I can't wait to share this kind of journey more with you guys on this podcast and in my main YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe if you like it and give this video a like because it actually does really help me out. I mean, this is only episode number 5 of this podcast, so we're just going to keep going. I'm going to try and upload every day for the next month or so, I would say, and then I might dial it back down to 2 or 3 a week once I've got it rolling a little bit. So let's get into this food and diet stuff. So basically, I was pretty unhealthy. Like I was never really a healthy eater, and I definitely was not fit around, my childhood and like early teenage years. Like I just didn't care about health at all. I didn't really care about looking after my body that much, and that definitely showed. So I was like, I hate salads. I hate healthy food. I'm just not for it. Like every meal that I had to have like bread in it and cheese, and that was just, I was kind of part of my identity at that time. And I think our health actually has so much to do with our identity, or how we view ourselves, because how we view ourselves is what manifests. I was actually reading the most incredible book this morning. I was talking about it in my current morning routine podcast, but it's called E Squared, and one of the experiments, it's basically full of all of these experiments for like testing the law of attraction in your own life. And one of them is all about how we actually view ourselves is literally how we are. So if you think of yourself as ugly or you don't like your body, that's just what you're going to keep manifesting. And if you keep thinking that you have to lose weight or you're not at your perfect body weight or your looks or anything like that, that's what you're going to keep manifesting. So you keep yourself in that space. See yourself as that perfect version. Get out a notebook, write down exactly, and it's not only about looks, but write down exactly how you want to look and how you want to feel and what kind of impact you have on the world. Write down what you would look like if you were your dream version, and then kind of just act accordingly and practice that vibration, and write down lists of things that you love about yourself instead of focusing on all the things that you genuinely hate about yourself. I can read you like a little bit of this book. So it basically says, your body is simply a living expression of your point of view about the world. Another quote is, this may come as a shock to you, especially if you spend most of your waking moments silently harping about your ugly, cellulite-ridden body, but the normal state of your body is healthy. It can heal and regulates itself without any prompting from you. But when you keep tabs and count calories with frantic abandon, you refuse to let your body change. Okay, wow, sorry, that was the biggest tangent. Let's get back to the whole veganism and health body story. But basically, so I wasn't very healthy, and I kind of had a negative view of myself, which I obviously kept remanifesting. I can talk about kind of like my weight and my body, my actual like body journey in another podcast, but for this one I wanted to more focus on diet and my thoughts about veganism and all that kind of stuff. So when I was like 19 or 18 or even a bit earlier, I think I started to think, okay, I really want to take care of myself, and this genuinely came from a really healthy place. And when I started to lose weight and tone up, I feel like I was honestly so healthy, kind of by accident. I didn't ever stress about calories. Like I would go out and have drinks with my friends. I would have like a delicious like burger on like a Saturday night or whatever, and then I would just go back to eating so healthy afterwards. I would have my smoothies and my oatmeal and my eggs, and I kind of had no restrictions. I was drawn to what was healthy and good for me, and I just had no stress about it, and I was honestly thriving. Like, I felt so good within myself, and my skin was so clear. And I was honestly like, what is going on? This was a state of kind of consciousness and living that I'd never experienced before, because I felt like when you are that really healthy and vibrant, life is so different. Like, you feel so great waking up in the morning because your mood is good, because you're working out, because you're drinking enough water. Everything is just changed. And I experienced that for the first time, and I was like, wow, this is genuinely crazy. And then as time went on, this was like the early 2015, kind of like a Sina O'Neill time, when everyone was going vegan and veganism was so trending and it was like crazy on the internet. And my sister started to go vegan, I think, because I think for her it was, honestly, I'm not sure, but I think she just got kind of coerced into the whole thing. Not coerced, but she just got influenced by the people on social media who were talking about veganism being so amazing. And yeah, she ended up going vegan. And over time, I was also watching these people and these, messages online, and I also went vegan. Now, obviously, veganism is such a beautiful and, it can be a great thing. I'm not putting it down in one bit. So let me just say that that's definitely not what I want to do. And I have mentioned this earlier, but I know now when I look back that I switched to a plant-based diet. I know that I don't have the right to call myself a vegan because that's more of a lifestyle change, and I didn't practice that. And honestly, at the time, I was pretty just uneducated on that kind of stuff. I was honestly more following it because in my head, I saw all these people online who had such beautiful lives and they seemed so healthy and glowing, and I thought that to live a similar life in that way, like to live a beachy life in the sunshine, all that kind of stuff, that you kind of had to be vegan. Like, in my head, those two things became one, if that makes sense. And I literally thought that to have that kind of life, I would have to be vegan too. So I switched to veganism, and I found that I just wasn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling full after my meals. I was always craving like eggs or a little bit of cheese, because cheese is honestly like my favorite food. But I watched all these documentaries that told me that cheese was genuinely going to kill me, even though I would only ever have like a tiny bit, like especially when I was healthier. And I feel like I just over time developed this really unhealthy relationship with food, which was really sad to me, because I had this such great period of time where I genuinely felt so amazing. And then I moved into this time when I was constantly kind of craving food. I would end up having times when I would just not be vegan. Like, I would just eat ice cream or something, you know what I mean? And then I would feel so guilty. I would be like, oh my God, I broke my diet. I'm going to be fat now. And, I just found it so much harder to maintain my weight. I found I would have periods of being super clean and, vegan, but always craving. And then I would give up and crave and eat everything that I was craving, end up binge eating, end up feeling horrible about myself, and then go back to being like too strict kind of vegan, if that made sense. I think with me, it was a divorce from my own intuitive eating. And that was something that was the main issue. And I think it really made me have some really huge disordered eating patterns. And because I now kind of viewed myself as this group or as part of these people that were vegan and seemed so healthy and so happy, I thought there was literally something wrong with me for not feeling that way. And I also felt like I couldn't quite leave that community because it was just good to be kind of a part of something. I think my spiritual kind of thoughts at the time really aligned with the whole veganism message as well. But I think that was also me trying to convince myself and trying to make myself fit into this space that I didn't necessarily fit into. And I did have a lot of guilt about that. And I think a lot of that did come from just genuine insecurity, because I was insecure. Like, I didn't feel good in my own body. I was tired, and I was just a little bit more low vibrational at that time, I guess. And I found it harder to listen to other people's ideas and views, which is something that I feel like I really pride myself in now. Not that I'm like the best person ever or anything like that, but I feel like something that I like about myself is I feel like I can listen to other people's ideas quite openly. But at the time, I was just kind of blocking everything else out except for like this vegan message. But then I wasn't even 100% vegan either, because I couldn't keep it up, because I just have all of these cravings. And this was honestly just like such a negative time in my life in terms of my food, because even when I was going out for like dinner, I would end up just ordering hot chips because there wasn't any like good vegan options always, or I'd be stressed about having vegan options and I couldn't just go out to dinner and enjoy something like I would have previously. And as I said, I'm not putting this on veganism or this diet, and I'm not saying that it's negative, but for me it was so negative. So if you're the same and it was something that you got caught up in and was super negative for you, or any diet for that matter, whether it's keto or paleo or anything, I think that the number one thing that we can do in our life is to literally just be aligned and not follow these trends and feel stuck in them, because then we start to identify with the trend itself, and that just takes away from our own ability to intuitively eat. And I think that the number one thing that gives us freedom, or one of the number one things in life, in my opinion, that gives us freedom is the ability to have freedom around food. One of my friends once said, when you heal your relationship with food, you heal your relationship with a lot of things in life, because if you can just relax and be in the moment and not have all of these eating disorders or eating disordered patterns, and it just means that there's so much more space to actually enjoy life if you're not stressing about all of this shit constantly. And it's just I know how debilitating it can be, and it sucks. Like, it honestly fucking sucks, and I never want anyone else to go through that. And I want you to know, if you're having like a hard time with anything body related at the moment, that you truly can move past it, and you can live a free and happy life and around food, and you can get to a place where this is just such a non-issue to you anymore. Okay, so back to kind of like the timeline. I think it was the start of 2017, around then, I made a decision, because I was so unhappy and so fed up with these horrible cycles that I was kind of going through, that I was like, okay, I'm just going to not be vegan anymore. I'm going to, or not be a plant-based eater anymore. I'm going to take off the reins of these kind of restrictions or things that I felt were, just not letting me live my best life, and try and heal that relationship with food. So basically, I did it pretty slowly. To be honest, it was like kind of embarrassing for me to then come out and say to people like, I'm not vegan, because it was, something at the time that I had spoken about kind of very openly. So, but I think that's another lesson, is we don't have to stick to our word, and we don't have to be the same person every single day. Like, you're allowed to evolve and change, and that's totally fine. So I definitely learnt that lesson, and I slowly started to kind of just lift that kind of veganism title and label with myself. So I would have a little bit of chicken and eggs. I didn't really just do the fish and eggs thing, which I know a lot of people do. I kind of just like let myself eat whatever felt good, and I did that for some period of time. But I think for a while, my bad habits that I'd created, such as being way too strict on not eating enough, and then, ending up binging out, or, having a diet that was a lot higher in carbohydrates, I think I kind of continued a lot of those patterns, which meant that even though I wasn't vegan anymore, I still had this negative relationship with food and these negative patterns. So as I said, that just proves that it wasn't veganism for me. That was just a situation that brought that out. But I still struggled with that for some time. And then when I ended up moving back to Byron, because my sister was still vegan, I kind of went back to eating vegan, not with the labels, but just because we were cooking our food together. So then that time though, it was even worse, I feel like, because we just moved out of home and we were working so much, and we didn't really plan our meals properly. So we would literally just have mashed potato for dinner, we weren't having enough protein at all. And anyway, at about the middle to the end of last year, I was literally like, this is just so enough. I need to listen to myself and create a diet that makes me feel really happy. Now, at the time, I was watching a lot of Sarah's Day, which I love her channel. If you're into health and fitness, she has a health and fitness vlog channel, and it's so great. Like, I just genuinely love her videos. And she was talking about having a paleo diet and how that works really well for her. But again, I didn't want to get caught up into this whole social media diet thing. So I didn't, just dive into having a complete paleo diet and then, just jumping ships kind of thing. But it just showed me that I think there's more than one way to be healthy. And in my head, for so long, it was drilled in that there's one way to be healthy, it's this diet. Or before that, it's another thing, like, I think there's so many different ways to be healthy. And I think that we get to choose which one we want to be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can be healthy. I mean, you're probably not going to be healthy like sitting there eating bloody chips on the couch all day, but you can be healthy having a protein shake for breakfast, or you can be healthy having like vegan oatmeal. Like, you just have to find what you feel is going to be the best for you. So anyway, that started to open up my ideas a little bit more, and I started to incorporate a lot more fat and protein back into my diet. So this was the type of diet that I had, honestly, when I first started to become really healthy, that made me feel incredible. And I think this is the type of diet that has worked for me the most, and that I kind of try and keep up. And that doesn't mean that I don't eat carbohydrates, because I love carbohydrates, but I just love to focus most of my meals around fat and protein. And then I love adding in like sweet potato or some oats or rice or whatever, just like some carbohydrates, but just like my main meal, I love having enough protein. I recently watched this video from Remy Ashton. I don't know if you guys know her, but she has a YouTube channel as well. And she talks about kind of like weight loss and body and diet a lot. And she recently went to see Kim Kardashian's doctor, like Kim Kardashian's diet nutritionist, whatever. She filmed the whole series, and I found it so entertaining. And he was talking about different metabolism types, and there's a few. So there's fat protein efficient, and then there's carbohydrate efficient, and then there's a combination of all of them. And there's different kind of symptoms to each one. I can put the test in the down bar if you guys want to try it out, but it's so interesting. So my one ended up being fat protein efficient, which I knew because I know that that's when I feel the best. But some symptoms of that is like getting really tired and craving really salty foods. And I always crave salty foods. Like, I'll never feel like a sweet treat if I'm feeling like something like a bit, I want to say naughty, but nothing is naughty. But if I'm feeling like something that's a little outside of what I usually eat, it's always like chips or hot chips or fish and chips. Obviously I like chips, but like, it's always salty. And that is actually a symptom of not getting enough protein for this specific metabolism type or person. So I find that when I actually eat enough protein, and for me, I find that I feel better when I get that from animal sources or, just a different type than just like a bowl of lentils. I find that I actually don't get those cravings. So you can literally change and this kind of made me feel like it doesn't have to be an uphill battle, If I'm constantly craving junk food, or if I constantly want things that I know aren't going to make me feel good, that's obviously something's not working in my body. That's not that I just don't have any willpower. That's the fact that something isn't really working in my hormones and my body. So yeah, I found that to be so interesting. I think that the carbohydrate metabolism type, they usually crave sweet food and they tend to be anxious or something, or maybe anxious was in the fat protein. I don't know. I'll link it down somewhere for you guys to do it because it's so cool. And that is the type of diet that I've kind of been following for the past, I'd say around 6 months, probably more so in the last few weeks. I've just gotten really, really back on track with my healthy eating. And as I said, because I have been going through like the most just difficult time in my life, I find that just going back to basics and just doing what I know is going to make me feel so good is also just, it's amazing. So that's kind of like my story and journey with veganism. I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, hope that it helps someone else out there who may think that they're stuck with their diet, or they have a horrible relationship with food, or they've been through a similar journey to me and they feel a lot of hate and shame for not being vegan anymore. Or, you are vegan and you're thinking, bitch, what the fuck, I hate you. Either way, I just wanted to let you know that, health is personal. You can honestly be healthy in so many different ways. Either way, I hope it gives you a little bit of a different perspective. And I think it's cool to listen to other people's journeys with food and stuff, because I know that a lot of people struggle with this, but we don't always talk about it a lot. So it can feel like you're super alone, but I can assure you that you're not, because so many people, literally everyone goes through this at some point or another. It's kind of sad in our society, but that's the truth. So I think, just finding that balance and freedom should be your goal, instead of trying to look a certain way, trying to lose weight, because, as I said, that's just going to keep you in that state of always wanting to improve. And as soon as you feel like you wanted to, get to your dream weight, or you want to look like a certain way, there's always going to be something else. So you're never going to be done, and you're never going to be happy. So with me, it was just about finding that freedom and relax and peace with myself, with my body, and with food. And that is so refreshing. It's like when you haven't had that for so long, it's like you've been swimming underwater, holding your breath, and then you can finally come up, and it's the best, guys. So hopefully that inspires you to kind of go after that, instead of going after a certain literal looks. Another thing that I've kind of dabbled in over all this whole time and this whole time frame is exercising. And I love exercising, and the type of exercise that I love to do is a HIIT workout, so sweaty, super dripping in sweat, crazy HIIT workouts, right? And they can be pretty hard on the body. And I think at some point I was doing them too much, because I think I was doing it from a place of fear of not being enough, of not looking right, or not being happy within myself. And I think that was another thing that played into me kind of always having cravings and not having this freedom around food, because I might have been over exercising a little bit. So that wasn't necessarily a great relationship either. And what I've been doing at the moment is dialing back my super, super hard workouts to maybe 3 or 4 a week. And then I still try and move every day, but maybe I'll go for a really long walk and do some stairs at the beach, or maybe I'll do some yoga, or just kind of adding in some less crazy workouts into my regime. And I found that that's also been really great for my mindset. And would you believe, my actual body? Because I feel like I'm more relaxed. There's less cortisol in my body. I feel like it's actually easier to shift weight and lose weight doing that. So if I encourage you guys to do anything at the end of this podcast, it is to sit down and write out your dream self and what type of feelings you want to have around that. Do you want to be free? Do you want to be happy? Do you want to be confident? All those things. And also have a look at your patterns in the past and what might have been holding you back. Is it any identity? Is it something that you feel like you have to keep up with that might be an old, outdated idea or version of yourself? And also just to know that you are actually so enough and you can be anything you want to be. And this is getting so preachy and serious. I'm so sorry, but I'm so passionate about this because, as I said, I fucking struggled with it and it's awful. So I'm sending you guys love. Just know that there is always, always, always a, happy story at the end of the tunnel. That's not how the saying goes, but there is always light at the end of the tunnel with this kind of stuff, and you just have to align and send love to yourself. Loving kindness is what it's all about. I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will see you tomorrow.